Hey guys, it's me Christian here, and I'm just outside, and I just wanted to make this video, and it's about fatherhood. And I feel like this is something really important because for me personally, and as well I'm sure for other people, many of us didn't grow up with fathers. So, question is, how do you become a father when you've never had a father in your life? Some of us, we've had absent fathers. Some of us had fathers that abandoned us a long time ago when we were children. And others, maybe we just never met them before. So, when you get married, you want to have children, you want to start a family. How do you become a father? Especially when you didn't have a good example. You didn't have anyone to teach you what to do, what not to do. So for me personally, this is what I'm going to talk about, and this is what I'm going to mention, what I've had to do to make sure that the cycle of abuse and having an absent father doesn't continue. Because I know what it feels like, and it's one of the worst things you can ever go through as a child. And there's no point in wanting to have a child if you're just going to be an absent or abusive father. So, what have I had to do? Sorry, my eyes are really sensitive to the sun, so sometimes I get teary. Okay, so what I've had to do is, first of all, I've had to seek counseling. I've seen a couple different counselors who have helped me tremendously. I've been able to sit down with them, talk to them exactly what I feel, exactly where I'm coming from, the challenges growing up, the reasons why I don't have a father in my life. And so it's been a process of just, questions and answers, and how do I feel about this and that, and what do I usually do when it comes to this and that. And so I feel that personally for me, going to counseling has really helped a lot. And so I'd really suggest for others, if you're thinking of wanting to be a father, or maybe you have a baby on the way, you've had issues in the past, definitely go the counseling route. It'll really help you a lot. Another thing that I feel that has been really helpful for me is, so I've joined a couple different churches, and each one of them, they have their men's group and their women's group. So I go to one of them is a men's group, and interestingly enough, it's mostly a bunch of older men. They're older than me. So I would say that a lot of them are either of the age of my father, my biological father. So, and I've been going to this place for a few months now, and it's been very beneficial for me because the thing is, I've been able to ask them so many questions. How do you raise children? What do you do in this circumstance? What do you do in that circumstance? And they've told me, first of all, that none of them are perfect. Everyone's going to make mistakes. You have to accept that. Everyone is going to make mistakes. But you have to follow through on certain principles. Being consistent, being fair, being honest, being trustworthy, being exemplary, because your children will look at this. They're going to look at how you treat your wife. How do you talk to other people? What's your work ethic like? How do you deal with money and things like that? So I've been able to not only just ask them a lot of questions, but also see through their example and through their trials and errors. And I've been able to take that in myself. And the second group that I go to, it's more of a bunch of guys that are my age. And most of them are married, have children. So I feel like I can also relate to them as well because they're closer to my age. And we just talk a lot about all kinds of things in life, work, family, the difficulties of being a husband or a father. Just we support each other, we give help to each other, and for me personally, I've really enjoyed going to these groups. They've been just absolutely helpful for me, really helpful for my healing, and I continue to go to these places. So also recently I just started going with my wife to this third group, and this one is specifically for married couples, and so we just started going there, and they're lovely people, and so I hope that with this group I'll be able to get more information and just gather more experience through them, just see what has worked for them, what hasn't, what principles they guide themselves with. And you know what? The thing is, everyone's different. Every child is different. You raise them a little differently. You have to raise them equally fair, but they all have different needs. And you have to understand that. So, one of the biggest things that I've had to do as a husband, as a man, is to come to one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. So I'll tell you what happened. In the summer, I went to this conference. It's for a bunch of adult men, and it was about just how to be a better husband, how to be a better father, how to be a better man. And so it was a 2-day conference, and during the 2 days there was this one moment that was really difficult for me. They said that when it comes to childhood traumas, people in your past, parents, fathers who have hurt you, abused you, neglected you, you have to forgive them. You have to forgive them. And for me, I found that was one of the most difficult things I could ever do as a husband, was to forgive my father, who abused me for most of my childhood. And I guess one of the reasons why I didn't forgive my father for all those years was because I felt like my walls were so high up, I didn't want to be hurt. It was kind of like a protection mode. If I forgave him, I felt like I was saying what happened was okay, and allowing the potential for myself to be hurt in the future. And I don't want to make this video about bashing my father, because that's not what this is about. But at the end of that day, as hard as it was for me, I forgave him. I had to forgive him, and it was hard, but I'm telling you, within hours, for sure by the next day, I was feeling so much better. Just like the weight of the world off my shoulders, all that pain that I had gone through as a child, just off my shoulders. And it was a good idea that they asked me to forgive him. At this conference, I also had the chance to talk to other people who had gone through similar situations as I did when I was a child. And you know what, then they got married, they had children, and it was just, what did they have to do to change, to make sure that cycle of neglect and abuse and harm doesn't continue. And it was one of the most inspiring weekends I've ever attended, probably in my life, definitely in a long time. And I'm so grateful that they organize such things, because I think in society we can use more things like this. And it doesn't have to be like at this church. I'm sure there's other places that offer resources like this too. But for me, I personally found a lot of help at this one. So as a father, I'm not a father yet, but I'd like to be a father. I very much would like to be a father. I would do anything to be a father. As a father, I would change things very much so compared to what I had to go through as a child. First of all, I'd let them have their own personality. I wouldn't try to make them have a personality that is just like me. You know, I believe in individuality. I believe that people have their own unique spirit, and they can't be exactly like you. You have to let them be who they are. Another thing that I would do is I wouldn't try to force them to have a career that I wish I had or that I want them to have. I want them to choose or pursue a passion that they want. Because otherwise, if you're going to work every day, it would suck if you had to go from Monday to Friday and you don't even like your job. Or maybe it brings you a lot of stress. There's no passion. That's not worth living for a job like that. Another thing that I would do is I think I would teach them what I know. I would teach them the knowledge that I have, that I've accumulated in my short life. I think that's really important to teach them valuable life skills, because the thing is, my father didn't even teach me how to change a tire or how to change the oil of an engine. I had such an absent father that when I became an adult, I didn't even know how the world worked. It was just it was a bit of a shock for me, because I had been so sheltered in a bubble. And what I would do is I would teach them a lot of life skills, a lot of really important things, street smarts, because you want to make sure that you're not going to be taken advantage of in life. And in life, there's a bunch of scammers everywhere. There's people always trying to get you, to join groups, and not every group is healthy. So you want to make sure that your kid has some street smarts, isn't so naive, and doesn't join anything too dangerous. Another thing is, I would be very understanding of the type of person that they want to date, or get married. For me personally, it seems like that was the ending point with my family, because they didn't like who I was dating and eventually ended up marrying. So much to the point where they didn't want anything to do with us. So, to my son, my daughter, I love you guys very much, and whoever you guys decide to date, marry, I'm going to be supportive. When it comes to the dating scene, if it's a complete harmful idiot, of course I'm going to step in. But if it's is a good person for you, makes you happy, builds you up in life, I'm going to be supportive. I think that a lot of parents tend to be very much like they want to control every single aspect of their children's lives. And the other day, I heard something that was pretty sad to me. How I heard that there are parents who either neglect or they disown their child for being gay. And I don't care if my son or daughter ever turns out to be gay or straight or whatever. I will never turn my back on them. I could never do that. I'll always be there for them. I'll always love them unconditionally, and I'll always have time for them, no matter what they turn out to be. I want to teach them morals, a good compass, moral compass for them to follow. I'd like to teach them to be respectful to the elderly, to hold the door for people, to be kind to people. And, I think some of those things that I have advice for me personally, because like I said, I didn't have an actual present father to teach me these things and how to be a man and things like that. It's kind of strange, it's kind of funny, but for me, the only person I could look up to as a man to teach me these things, interestingly enough, was Superman. Yeah, I watched the movie Superman, the one from the 70s and the 80s. I've probably seen it over 1 million times. And it was, for me, kind of like an example of what a man should be like. Someone who can be serious and brave and help people, be courageous and help people who are down, help people who need help. But also to be, at times you can be goofy and have fun. And I think as a child, that was something that I kind of molded myself to look at and to emulate. Which is one of the reasons why my wife, Katia, she calls me her Superman. Yeah, she calls me Superman. So anyways, yeah, those are just some of the things that I would like to do. Those are just some of the things that I've had to, adjust my thinking, the way how I see the real world, not have my head and my mind in a small box and have an open mind on things, and to, always understand that family is everything. Family is family. Everything else is just that. It's just everything else. So family first. So I'm going to end this with this advice that someone gave me that I try to live by. He's old enough to be my father, and I really appreciated this when I got to sit down with him and tell him everything. He afforded me the time to tell him everything, where I'm coming from and everything. And for me, where I've had to start was with the 4 F's in life, which is family, faith, friends, and future. If you have those 4 things in mind, if you are always working towards those 4 things in your life, somehow things they tend to fall into place. And it's helped me a lot. Maybe it'll help you. Maybe this video will help you. So if you'd like to see more of this, just let me know. It's really cold outside. It's really cold outside. It's not winter, but it feels like winter already. So yeah, that's all I had to say. My name is Christian again, and I'm hoping to be a father very soon. All right, guys, take care. Bye.